If you are seeing this video, hopefully it is for one of two reasons. The first is either you are considering a career in sales and you want to learn a little bit more about what a career in sales looks like, or two, you just got your first sales job and are learning or want to learn a little more about the profession that you just likely fell ass backwards into. So either way, welcome to the Sales Armory, and I'm going to give you an overview on what a career in sales looks like. My name is Brandon. I've spent the last 9 years in sales. I've sold B2C, business to consumer, B2B, and currently run an enterprise level team at a pharmaceutical company. The goal is to help you reflect on what a career in sales looks like, and if that really truly aligns with your skills, your personality, and your long-term goals. So what are the core objectives here? I want you to walk away with a full understanding of what a career in sales looks like, be able to identify the traits and the mindset needed in order to not only succeed in sales, but also have a long sales career. Help you self-assess your fit and potential, and debunk a few myths about sales. So let's jump right in. What does a career in sales look like? I think if you had to give a high-level overview or maybe a one-sentence explanation about what sales is today, I would argue that sales today is about problem solving and not pushing a product or a service. It's not just selling things, it is becoming a consultant and solving problems for business owners or consumers. It requires a mix of communication, strategy, resilience, and relationship building. Pros and cons. I'm going to start with either the cons of a sales career or maybe some of the challenges or pain points. You are going to deal with a lot of rejection. And new sales reps, a new sales rep will never tell me that they take things personally or that they don't do well with rejection. Everyone says I can handle rejection. But until you have sat on the phone for days on end making cold calls and being yelled at and being told F off and to get a real job, or knocking doors and being escorted out of business buildings, it's very hard to understand how rejection will impact you personally, or how that much rejection will impact you personally, but it is part of the deal. Hitting quotas. We'll get into the different types of sales roles in a second, but B2B sales roles are going to require quotas. And having a quota that you are responsible for hitting on a monthly or a quarterly basis over time adds an immense amount of pressure that not everyone is equipped to deal with. Some people are, you might be fine, but I'm trying to tell you right now that it is a level of pressure that is different than any role where you are only responsible for showing up and punching the clock. It is very different. The upsides though, high earning potential, high growth potential, and to a certain extent, freedom. Sales has the highest earning income potential when you consider that the barrier to entry is very low. There are a lot of sales roles that you need no prior qualifications for. You do not have to go to law school. You do not have to go and get a doctorate's degree or a high-level degree. You do not have to go to medical school. And yet, the highest performing and highest earning sales reps can out-earn lawyers and doctors all day. All right, let's talk about the different types of sales roles, and I'm going to try and lay these out in a strategic way. So you've got 1099 versus corporate sales roles. 1099, think high ticket sales, insurance sales. I started as a realtor. That's a 1099 sales role. In 1099 sales roles, you earn your income through a 1099. You're not technically an employee of the company. So if you think like insurance sales or a realtor, you hold a license and you are a sales rep operating under another company. So you're a licensed sales rep, but you are not an employee of that company. The barrier to entry for those roles is typically very low. The earning income potential is very high, but you are guaranteed nothing. You eat what you kill. There's no base salary, there are no benefits, and that's why the earning potential is so high. Versus a corporate sales role, you are employed by that company, you make W-2 income. Typically there is a base pay or a salary plus a commission structure. The 1099, lower barrier to entry, highest earning income potential, but no guarantee. Corporate sales roles, if you think tech sales, pharmaceutical, there is a higher barrier to entry, still great income earning potential, and you've got a little bit of stability. You've got business to business sales. or business to consumer sales. So B2C versus B2B. B2C is where you're selling directly to a consumer. Real estate is a good example of B2C. That's where I got my start, but I was selling directly to the people who were going to be living in that home. I was selling directly to the consumer. In B2B, you're selling to other businesses. So you are doing business transactions for right now. If you think of my sales role, I'm in pharmaceutical sales. I am selling my company's to another company, and that would be either a pharmacy or a hospital. You have inside versus outside sales. Inside sales is going to be a sales role that is either over the phone or over Zoom. Outside sales, you're going to be meeting clients in person. Outside sales, you're probably responsible for a geographic territory, where inside sales, it could be the entire United States, maybe even the globe, depending on what you sell. I'm gonna break down a couple different acronyms or titles for sales roles with like the hierarchy. I'm gonna break down some titles. These really apply more toward corporate sales roles. You do not hear these titles typically in any 1099 or B2C roles. So a BDR, a business development rep. So that title is typically associated with entry-level sales roles. And typically in a BDR role, you're making a lot of cold calls and you are trying to set appointments for either an AE or an SDR, which I'm gonna go over those two in a second, to then close. So think BDR, entry-level role. If you're trying to get into B2B sales, and you've never been in sales before, that's the title that you should be targeting. The next step up from there is going to be an SDR. We don't have SDR at my company. I'm trying to think what the acronym is. I think it's Sales Development Rep. I think that's right. From there, you have SDR, your Sales Development Rep. A lot of the time, that's going to be your first promotion. So you might start at a company in a BDR role, a business development rep role. Your first promotion might be to an SDR. Even SDR roles are typically cold calling heavy or prospecting heavy roles. A lot of the time you've got the highest rung, which is where a lot of corporate reps aim to be, which is an AE. It's an account executive. A lot of the time it is more focused on upselling and cross-selling to existing customers. Could also be referred to as a closing role. So you might have an AE who has BDRs that work under them. So every AE might work with 5 BDRs in a company, and the BDRs are setting appointments and the AE attends those appointments to close those deals. I'm gonna take it one level higher. From there, you might have an enterprise level rep. Typically, enterprise reps are handling the largest customers or the largest deals in any company. All right, some traits. Let's talk common traits of successful salespeople. There is a plethora of traits that make a successful salesperson. And you can make an argument that almost any trait or characteristic can be part of what makes a successful sales rep. But I notice when you take a large enough sample size, there are some that keep coming up. I'm gonna go over a couple here. Curiosity though. In today's selling environment, you aim to be viewed as a consultant in the eyes of the prospect. And in order to do that efficiently and effectively, the easiest way is to be good at asking questions. You are asking questions to try and elicit pain points and to get that prospect or that client to think about how they're going to solve that pain point. And once you've done a good job bringing it up, you're just offering solutions. It is not about hard closing anymore, but rather asking questions to get to the close. Resilience, the ability to bounce back from rejection. Any sales role, especially when you're new in sales, your first couple years, are going to be outreach heavy and you're going to be dealing with a lot of rejection. And you need to be able to be resilient and bounce back from that. Also, sales is a grind. You're going to be held to a quota either on a monthly or a quarterly basis, and you need to be able to hit that month in and month out or quarter in and quarter out without burning out. Coachability. This is a hard one because when you're in your 20s, you think you know it all. And the honest truth is that more likely than not, you don't know shit, and you need to be open to feedback. It's a double-edged sword though, because the most confident people typically make good sales reps, but that confidence comes from ego, and that ego gets in the way of coachability. And so if you want to have a long sales career, you yourself will need to find the balance between I'm the best, I'm gonna go close this deal, and I need to understand that I'm not the best and that there are people who know more than me who want to impart wisdom and I should listen to them. And for every person, that's going to be a different balance, but you need to be coachable if you want a long and successful sales career. Work ethic. I just talked about needing to hit quota month in and month out, being resilient about it, but you also need to have that passion, have that ambition inside of you that wants to go out and work and do the extra work, and not treat this profession like a 9-to-5 where you come in and you just punch the clock and expect to get paid. It will take more than that. Confidence, I actually just talked about confidence, so I'm not gonna rehash that one. Emotional intelligence, and I think this one is key. Good sales reps understand how to read people and then can mirror and match. You personally might have a lot of bravado, a lot of confidence, a lot of energy. But when you walk into a room, if you're meeting with someone who is more hesitant, more cautious, and you bring that bravado and that energy, you run the risk of turning that person off. And you need to be able to have the emotional intelligence to quickly read that situation and determine, do I need to dial this down or can I bring this person up with me? And that is a skill, and it is an art that will take some time, that will likely take some time to craft. Right. What sales is not? Sales is not about being pushy. The analogy of the used car salesman is an analogy for a reason. No one wants that person who's going to come in and try and strong arm them into a transaction. And in today's information environment, a lot of the time, whoever you're meeting with has access to as much and sometimes more information than you might even have. And so you're not the gatekeeper of this information and you can strong arm them into purchasing your product because you have something they can't get. It's not about lying or tricking people. Although we do use different strategies to get people on our side, we do use different speech patterns, communication patterns, and you need to have a structure to your sales call, but it's not about tricking them into buying the product. It's not just for extroverts. I've actually seen a lot of introverted people have successful sales careers. One of my sales managers at the payroll company that I used to work for was a self-admitted introvert. I remember having a conversation with him one day where he said straight out, I know that I'm not the most extroverted person. I'm not the most charismatic person, and I'm not always the most confident person. He then went on to explain, though, he said, the reason I'm still able to hit President's Club year in and year out, the reason that I was able to outperform, though, is because I was willing to work harder than everyone else. And so sales is not just for extroverts. And it's also not just about commission and making money, although it does help to be money motivated. And I think sales reps who aren't money motivated will struggle in the long run. It's about value and problem solving. It is about driving business and solving problems. So we just talked about what sales is not. So let's talk about some of the advantages to a career in sales. Biggest advantage, income. High income, low barrier to entry. It's as easy as that. And if you're in a corporate sales role, you do have a base salary, so that does provide a little bit of stability. If you're in a 1099 sales role, you probably have a very high earning potential. There is a pretty clear career path. So a couple points ago, I laid out some of the job titles, but a career path in corporate sales, BDR, SDR, AE, and then you can go into either specialty sales like enterprise, you could go into the sales leadership, maybe a blend of both. There is a very clear path, and most companies make it very easy to understand how to get to that next rung or that next level. Skills for life, negotiation, confidence, persuasion, all of these are amazing skills to have in your tool belt. All of them are skills that you can later leverage in life, whether it be to get a promotion, if you choose to make a career change. If you're able to negotiate though, and you have confidence, that will take you far. Flexibility and autonomy in many roles. In a lot of sales roles, at the end of the day, the most important thing is hitting quota. And I'm going to talk about B2B corporate sales. That's what I know best. At the end of the day, Hitting quota is the most important thing. You might have metrics like KPIs that you're responsible for underneath that as well. But really, as long as those two things are being achieved, most sales managers don't care how you're achieving them. And last but not least, if you want to work in a fast-paced, results-driven environment, then sales might be for you. It might be kind of cliche. Every company is going to tell you it's a fast-paced environment, but truly, sales does bring a level of variability that you don't get in every role. Challenges of a sales career. Quite frankly, rejection is going to be your biggest challenge. If you're looking at if you're looking at getting into sales and you've never done sales before, in your first couple years, the level of rejection that you are going to have to get comfortable with, mixed with the pressure of hitting quota, is frankly where I see most sales reps burn out. Rejection is going to be part of your daily life, and then the pressure to hit your numbers, so to hit your quota, to hit the KPIs, it is taxing. And one of my favorite sayings is every sales rep has a shelf life, meaning you can only ride this merry-go-round for so long before you burn out. For people who have never done sales before, you might find that that shelf life is very short. I have a 9-year tenure at this point, and I can confidently sit here and tell you today that I am closer to my expiration date today than I was 9 years ago. It requires self-motivation and discipline. I tell new reps all the time, I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself. And so you have to find the motivation and the discipline to create good habits that will allow you to hit the numbers day in and day out, month in and month out, quarter in and quarter out, year in and year out. Every day is going to be a battle, and you have to find it inside of you every day to show up for that battle. You are also not always going to have instant gratification. Sales cycles can be very long. Depending on your type of sales role, you could have short sales cycles where you're getting quick gratification, or you can have very long sales cycles. Some of my team members and I have worked on deals this year that have taken 6 months to a year. The longest deal that I've worked on took 18 months to get closed. And those are big deals, but to find the passion to get excited about a deal that is taking 18 months to close is very challenging. And it can be emotionally draining without a growth mindset. It can be emotionally draining with a growth mindset. There are days, there are months where I have finished that day or finished that month questioning. That is normal, but it goes back to the self-motivation and the discipline to get right back on that horse. It's part of growth. All right, so we've gone over a couple different things. We've gone over the different types of sales roles. We've gone over what sales is and isn't, the pros and the cons of a career in sales. So I want you to honestly ask yourself. I'm going to leave you with a couple questions here, but answer these questions honestly if you are really considering a career in sales. Do you enjoy talking to new people? Can you handle rejection without taking it personally? Am I competitive and goal-driven? Do I enjoy learning about new products and solving problems? Am I willing to be uncomfortable and grow? So some key takeaways here. Sales is not for everyone. I understand that it is an attractive profession. I understand that you might be seeing influencers flexing a lifestyle on Instagram that make it seem attractive. It is okay if it's not for you. You should give it a try, but if it doesn't work out, it is not for you. It is not for everybody. If you love learning, helping people, pushing yourself, it can be an incredibly rewarding profession. Success in sales is more about mindset and effort than natural talent. Hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. Be honest with yourself. It's okay if it's a no, but if it is a yes, fully commit. Good luck and subscribe here for more.